Hello and welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2019. It's Michael, it's Tam, again, and I'm so excited for this segment because we're talking about Astral Chain, one of the games I was looking forward to seeing because we're talking anime cops, we're talking it's mecha anime, all in stylish action. This is the next game coming out of Takahisa Taura, who worked on Nier Automata. So he's leading up this project, so now he's in full control of what he's creating, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. So, but for those who are not aware of what Astral Chain is, can you lay the groundwork for them?
Sure. I'll say it this way. It's really about synergetic action, and the two kind of keywords for it. Really it's about knowing how your abilities can start you kind of attack characters, things like that. You attack enemies. But you also have a legion. A legion is kind of your, there's different legions. They're kind of attached to you through that chain, right? So as you can see here behind us, you see you're actually a cop. Yes, you talk about like anime cops, things like that. Yes, you're a cop. And you're in this world in which the astral plane exists. And through these astral planes, these enemies come called Chimera out of it. And also through the astral plane, astral dimension, you have your, You have your legion. And what's interesting about this, it's not just like all action, it's actually a mix, right? So there's really fast action, traditional Platinum, like all for it, which I'll go into that a bit later. And right now, it's also investigation. So what Demetrius just did, he's the guy that's playing back there, Demetrius went ahead and hacked into that camera. And what he's looking at is looking at a replay, and he's trying to track down a woman named Jenna. And that's the replay in gold of where she was at a little bit ago. So he's kind of questioning a few people. And you probably also see him, trying to be a good cop, and that's him just taking out his baton just because.
Yikes.
No, it's fine. Thank you. So again, you can call upon your, gosh, why am I blanking on here?
It's all good.
ZL. Like I just know that by the button. What's it called? Yeah, you call upon your, your helper. Yeah. See, now I'm just blanking.
It's all good, man.
What is it again? Right, Legion. See, I was like, Luigi? No, that's not right.
You call upon your Luigi.
So you call upon your Legion, right, and you come out and you can do things. Now, right now, again, there's a main story mode. So in the main, there's a main objective. So the main objective says, guide the lost man. What you're really doing is you're still looking for Jenna. But along the way, your main objective, you could also have to, you can get kind of these side events, side quests. And one of them is like questioning these people. So it's like, oh yeah, Jenna, questioning locals, have you seen this woman? No reason, I'm not really asking. Fanboy freaks out and like, oh, how dare you go around spreading dirty rumors? And like, it's really nothing, you have a misunderstanding. He gets a bit angry and you back off a second and go, wait a minute. So he whips out the Legion, and Legion, you can actually bind and chain citizens. Again, super friendly, right? Binding, chaining them down, just to make sure they calm down, right. Talk to them. Yeah. Like, all right, you good? Sissy, sorry, I got passionate, it's fine. But what you're going to see is, you'll start to realize that you're not just in control of your character, right? The interplay between your Legion is also just going to start popping up when we get into gameplay, like when we get into like those battles. But the Legion's also very useful in solving some of these side quests, such as a very angry, upset fanboy.
I'm thinking like this calls back to a lot of elements of like maybe Watch Dogs or LA Noire, but this is in a traditional open world as well. So what other things have you looked at to kind of make sure that you're in tune with like outside of combat, that we're doing things differently from others, or that we are combining the best elements of investigative games?
The way I'd position it is, it's not exactly open. I mean, it's a little bit open world. We're in it's a Carmody Square. It's one of the locations that you can kind of explore.
So like hub worlds, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a hub a little bit. But there are different locations you can kind of jump to. But really, it's mainly focused on, yes, there's some elements of exploration and finding clues and trying to track down people, but there's also really getting into some pretty insane combat sequences. So I know Demetrius is like totally jetting to the location. I can feel it in his blood. I can see him running so fast. And what's funny is while we're running that way, I also want to kind of jump into, if you're a Platinum Games fan, yes, you'll have your Platinum Games fix. Believe me, we'll get to that in a second. What you don't necessarily see, and kind of the new blood and the new producers and developers in here, new ideas. So there's a little bit of this investigation. You're seeing it now. But there's also other elements, like, I don't know if you saw that a while ago, but Demetrius walked over and picked up a can. In the top left-hand corner, there's a little flower symbol, it says 3046. There is actually a way to be a good cop. And it pays off for you, because you can spend some of those points and actually level up some abilities. Thank you for, look at that, good citizen. Way to be a model, shining example of the police force.
And am I right in thinking that there's also a mechanic where you can rescue cats? Is that something
I'm sorry?
is there a cat rescuing mechanic that was mentioned?
Cat rescuing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Or like
put
an animal rescuing, because I interviewed Taro-san yesterday, and he mentioned there's more that they're going to be talking about that allow people to be kind of like the good cop in the game.
Yeah, there are a variety of different ways you can interact with citizens and do the right thing. So yes, example, saving a cat may be one of them. Same thing with picking up cans as you're walking around, right? But right now we're actually heading into the astral plane, right? Now the astral plane is where all these, where most of your fights take place. Now, in the astral plane, again, the bad guys are called chimeras. They're just basically enemies. In the astral plane, things are warped, There's a bunch of basically bad guys coming out trying to destroy the planet. And there's a couple of puzzle elements here. So as you can tell, Demetrius had to shoot that little cube, lowers the wall, and then he's able to get through. And right now, this is kind of an example of a little bit of combat here. It'll get pretty intense in a second.
Right.
And to go a little bit more into the battle elements, it's one of my favorite things about the game. I remember picking it up for the first time. And in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see that there's actually 3 different weapons that your X-Baton can become. One of them right now, he's got a small baton. He can switch into either a sword, that's a gun right there, and guns for long-range attacks, and that's his sword. Sword's great for breaking shields and things like that. Now, as you start to attack a character, or attack an enemy, you would press either your weak or a physical attack, which is your ZR button, and for you to actually summon your legion to attack, you press the ZL button whenever you see a blue flash. So that's like a synergy attack, right?
Right.
Now, what's interesting is, so you have 3 weapons for your personal. So he's going after him, after this chimera with that, with his sword, and he's changing off at the right time to let his legion attack. Now there's multiple legions. So now let's back that up a second. You have multiple weapons with all different combo types. You can tap, you can hold to charge, you can tap, 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 wait, delay, tap it again, and it's a different move. That also happens for the legions. Legions can come in at one time. You can pocket the legion, put them away. It's something called a perfect call. So if you attack without your legion, I bet Jimmy's trying to do it right now. You can actually get one of your legions to, pop out and counter and really destroy them. You can even have 2 legions out at one time. You can call one legion, send them out, do like some kind of special move so they're constantly out doing damage. Then summon your other legion to come in and do dual attacks. So there's an incredible amount of depth to the level of battle that's really I haven't seen before in a Platinum game. And I started messing with it, and I just couldn't help myself. I was there for hours just messing with the combo system. What legion? There's multiple legions. There's a sword one. There's an arrow legion. Then even when you have, let's say, a sword legion, your gun and blade moves, all that, it'll be different when you equip the arrow legion. So it starts to get complicated pretty quick, but everyone's going to have their favorite combos. And styles, your stylish action and combat, you'll have it in spades, and you'll be even working on trying to bind enemies, figure out how to do critical damage, and hold them down depending on what the enemy patterns are. It gets pretty deep, and I'm sorry if I'm talking way too much because I am super excited. This is really the first time we've ever really shown it outside of Treehouse Live, so I can't. It was so excited.
No,
guys.
it's all good, man, because, there's so many layers here, because coming off of DMC5, where there were a lot of layers there, and especially switching between the different characters there, and I see a lot of that here also with the different legions and with the different weapons. In a ways, it's very overwhelming, but in a good way. And I'm thinking about what Taura-san did with Nier Automata, where you have the chipset, you have different weapons, and you have pods.
Yep.
But it was pretty easy to get a grasp of that. But going into Astral Chain, was he thinking about no, I need to take things to the next level? How can I just add even more layers to that formula, especially coming from Platinum with such a deep history of doing that?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of really surprising people. We've heard also the comment that you're also trying new things. So yes, the depth is one to get there. Now, but could you also pass the game with just kind of comboing around and just kind of going, ZR, 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 and then waiting for the blue flash and then summoning your synergy attack? Yeah, you could. Do you have to change so much? You don't necessarily have to change so much. So really, it's like the classic Nintendo way of thinking about a game, right? You want to chew a little, you get a little. But if you really want to chew a lot, you can even set a skill to, kind of a ridiculous amount. There's even a skill tree for you to unlock even more skills. And so in addition to your perfect calls and your counter, your perfect dodge counters, there's even a flick up with your left stick towards an enemy to actually do a raw counter. So there's tons and tons of depth for the people that want it. So this is I mean, me being a big fan of, Platinum's games, especially like Bayonetta, I'm a huge fan of Bayonetta.
Oh, yeah.
And Wonderful 101, even because I was working
Yeah.
on that game before too. I can't help myself, and I freaked out when I was able to get my hands on
So
it.
Michael mentioned it earlier, and the chipset kind of approach to Neo Automata. What's the progression system like in Astral Chain? How does a player grow? And you mentioned it earlier with the skill tree. Can you talk a little bit more about how the character growth and player growth happens in the game?
Yeah, so there's two primary ways, right? One is obviously to gain experience, right? And you can spend that experience to unlock different, different modules. They're basically just little modules that you can unlock to unlock new moves, or boost to your health, or boost a particular damage or something, right? So there's that. But also I talked about the cop points earlier, and so of course picking up a can may not seem pretty meaningless or not jaywalking.
Right.
Serious, I can't make this stuff up, guys. Not jaywalking also is a good thing for you to help, and that'll actually increase like your health, right? You can also customize, different skill moves, because there's also for each of the legions there's you hold down R button, you can either press Y or X to change up what their skill is going to be. So you can really customize the kind of play you want, not just in spend points and unlock something, but starting to learn the details behind the strengths and weaknesses of each of the legions, as well as the weapon types for each of the legions, and really playing that into the way that you want to play. So if you want to be up in front, I know that there's a really big legion. It's got these big, like an axe, and so you can really slam axes into people and be up front, but you have to make sure that you're equipped and your skill set allows for you to be up front in somebody's face, as opposed to something, let's say, an arrow legion, which you want to be farther away, maybe rely on the gun a bit more, and then kind of tailor your skill set to fit that kind of game style. So there's a lot of ways to grow, but it'll be gradual, believe me. You get taught little by little.
Yeah, that's one of the challenging things of a stylish action game is like, how do you introduce those layers? How do you tutorialize that stuff? And from what I'm seeing, like, does Tauta-san or does anyone like ever feel like, we need to scale this back? It might be too much. How do I map all of these controls seamlessly to a controller? Like, does there ever do you ever feel like there's feature creep to where you just have too much? Like, how do you balance that, though?
I will say that it's always a struggle for developers when they're figuring out what works, right? You don't throw in features for just to have a feature because another game had a feature, right? Once you start to learn the interplay between you and your legion, you start to figure out what works for you. And it's important that you latch onto that. And they slowly introduce the fact that, okay, here's your combo system. Let's focus on that first to give you one legion. Then they'll give you another legion. You focus a bit more on a different combo set because they give, remember, 2 different legions, 2 different combo sets. Then you have to take a look into what they start introducing your X baton. And so they start it's a very gradual learning process. I mean, even with any, even Bayonetta, for example, Platinum has a really great way of introducing those features where it doesn't seem overwhelming because it really is a longer form game. And this is a bit later on in the game too. You're not just starting off all this. Dimitris is nice enough to bring a save file from work actually and build it up. Thank you, D. He really did a number and unlocked a bunch of stuff for us. So all the combos you're seeing, all the legions and the weapons and what he's doing here, and just getting wrecked for a hot second. Sorry, I had to roast him for a second. That was really
blast,
good.
dude.
I know.
Yeah,
I haven't seen him get dizzied yet, so I was like, he's done a lot of work on this. Really set it up for us, and we're showing you a lot right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you
there's
break
so
down
much more.
some of the stuff that we're actually seeing on screen? Can you talk through what Dimitris is actually doing on a moment-to-moment to kind of give us that Platinum style of game? What are the moments where this is a distinctly Platinum thing, like a Witch Time, like a Shadow Boost? Like, where is it here?
And so I will say that I think as far as his particular action on screen, everything from the air combos that he's doing, the finishers, all that's of course, trademark Platinum game, right? Super flashy, super showy. And let's just say that the more that you start to figure out that interplay between your legion and your attacks you're doing, you start to unlock more ways. Like right now, he's even like chain jumping, which is super, super cool to do. You can send ZL out to kind of go after them and then chain jump directly to them to approach them in the air as your body. Normally, you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't send your legion out first.
Right.
So there's a lot in there.
Yeah, that's one of the most exciting parts about stylish action. Just like how can I push the limits of my capabilities? Like, how can I just string everything to have just one seamless combo, one after the other?
Rank S
Look at this,
plus.
S plus.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, we also got
Demetrius.
rankings in here. You can't have a platinum game without getting ranked on your
Absolutely,
battle.
and that's your material code, that first time bonus. So that material code is the kind of is one of the currencies that you use to upgrade your. It's kind of almost like the chip system, if you will. Like definitely, you can use that to upgrade your abilities.
Okay.
I think that's the end of our case, actually. But again, you can definitely look a lot more forward to because Astral Chain is, it's on its way very soon.
Right. Yeah. I want to take a step back and kind of talk about the story elements a little bit more because, coming off of Nier Automata, obviously that was a Yoko Taro joint, and I guess maybe more or less the expectations are a little high on the story end. I think that there can be a lot of like cool things that can be told through Astral Chain with it being about, a police force and, their role in the world. So can you speak to how, the team is approaching the story this time around?
Okay, without giving any spoilers, I'll keep it really light. In the trailer, we did see someone in a chair giving orders to someone. I won't tell you who that is. And also, everything is not as it seems. The astral plane is something that just kind of happened. A rift opened up. When all of these enemies are flowing through it, and bad things are happening to the planet, and you're really there to kind of protect what's going on. The more I think about it, if I say anything else about it,
I'm not gonna.
I should. Demetrius over there is like, no,
I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, I shouldn't, because no, really, it's super good, and I will say, you will find twists and turns in the story that you were not expecting.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
All right.
Definitely something for people to look forward to.
Can you at least maybe expand on what you mean when you talk about like being a good cop? Like, will your actions be reflected in the story, and will you see that play out in different ways?
Yeah, I won't say that. No.
Looking back at y'all.
Well, I'll say this. It'll affect only strictly those points that I was talking about before, how you can have those good cop points. That's really what it's about. And I will say that if the more that you go out of your way to be a good cop, the more that you'll find some of those side missions and side stories. So it really is to your benefit to try and do the right thing, because I'm sure you'll find more nooks and crannies where people need help.
Right.
And they'll just give you more opportunities to increase, your abilities.
Tonally speaking, what can people expect in terms of tone? Because a lot of the trailers that we've seen so far are, in classic anime fashion, heavy on the melodrama and heavy on characters looking a bit upset. But Platinum Games have this history of being quite playful at times and almost like humorous. What kind of tone are we going to get out of Astral Chain, broadly speaking?
I think you get a mix of a lot of things. I mean, even when I was messing around in the, there's like a training ground that you can have like inside your base, in the neuron base, and I remember this being this mascot, right? I know that everyone's really serious, and you're right, you did see a little bit of the serious tone in there. But I remember going back, and there's this mascot going, "Hey, how can I help you?" And it's just nice. I don't know if it's a bear or a dog or something.
That was in the trailer, right?
It's super cute. And I'm just like, what? Right? But I mean, that's the kind of fun, right? There's a little bit of silliness there. There's a little bit of serious elements there. So the juxtaposition. I think it's about that. I think it's about no matter if you like funny things or if you like things that are unexpected, something will make you laugh, something will make you smile, and they've really gone the extra length through the text, the characters, the diversity of who's represented, and also your customization options. I think everyone will be very, very pleased.
Yeah. Can you expand a little bit on the character customization? Because it's not just like I'm playing something that's based around a preset character. Can you walk us through some of the options that you have to create your own character for Astral Chain?
Anime hair.
Yes.
Lots of cool hair. In Demetrius' case, he actually doesn't have hair. He kind of shaved it. He does, but he just shaves it. So his character looks like him in the game. Me, I look some kind of like mismatched, like you dressed yourself 9-year-old. Oh, it's great. It's you do have a lot of flexibility, males, females, and you also have can I talk about the twin? I'm cool to say that. Oh, great. So you also have technically a twin. So Astral Chain, you have your character, you can be boy, girl, whatever, and then you have a twin, which I think is the opposite sex, no matter what you choose.
Right.
Yep. And then, depending on who you pick, you know, you'll have, of course, your counterpart, and I'm sure your twin comes into play at some point later on. But I'm not gonna.
Oh, you said you
I
weren't
gotta
spoil
say,
anything.
come on, man, I don't want to, but it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, man, I want to watch Astral Chain. I want to watch Dimitri play it even more. I want to keep asking questions. I want to see this in action. I want to get my hands on it. Unfortunately, I can't. But yeah, this we have to wrap it up, unfortunately. And yeah, thank you so much, JC, for joining us and walking us through Astral Chain. I think that there's something special that can be done with the story. Obviously, the expectations are very high, but you know, I feel like I believe in Tauro-san's vision that he can you know, pull it off this time when he's you know, at the helm of this project. So yeah, I'm very excited for Astral Chain, and I want everyone out there to stick around though, because we have so much more to cover here on GameSpot. We have Blair Witch coming up, so stay tuned for that.